Hello and welcome to Sound Off with System One. I'm your host, Allie Moen. I'm here today with my panel of experts to talk with you about how to write your resume so it will make it past the machines and into a hiring manager's hands. But before we get started with that, a few words about System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 9,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, and the UK. As you're tuning in today, please join us in the comments. Let us know where you're joining from and what industry you work in. I do have Krista on our marketing team monitoring those comments. And if you have any questions for our experts as it relates to today's topic, please drop those in there as well. We will try to answer as many of those questions live today as we can. Before we get started with this awesome topic for you, I do want to let my experts briefly introduce themselves. So Rich, I'll start with you if you could share a little bit about what you do here at System One.
Awesome. Thank you. First off, it's great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Rich Weed. I am the Director of Marketing at System One. I'm based out of the Tampa office in sunny but hot Tampa, Florida. I've been with System One. Actually, it'll be 9 years next month. So I'm pretty cool, pretty proud of that. So great to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, Allie, Matt Ruby. Also, I think this is a Tampa session this week, which is good. Also sweating profusely outside today. But with System One, I'm Director of IT Services and Consulting here in Florida for System One, and just passed my 4-year anniversary with System One.
Happy Friday, LinkedIn Live. My name is Shanazi Gamharani. I'm an IT recruiter based out of Tampa with System One too. Been here about 3 years.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shanazi. Again, please join us in the comments. I do see a few people chiming in, so if you have any questions, drop those in there. So now, without further ado, let's get started with today's topic. We are here today to talk with you about how to write a resume that's optimized for recruiting software. So before we really dive into the meat of the subject, Rich, if you could let our viewers know what we mean when we say recruiting software.
Absolutely. Most companies and organizations who post jobs online leverage technology to handle that process. Not only posting jobs, but applicants applying to those jobs. And in the business, we call it an ATS, an applicant tracking system. There are multiple ATS platforms out there. Some are extremely sophisticated, like ours. Some are less so. But generally, they do the same thing. And again, that's so that an applicant can apply. Their application and resume can go into the database where our jobs live. And then recruiters can go into that software and can make what we say the match between a candidate who's looking for a job and that job that belongs to the client, and that's where really the business happens in that ATS software.
Great, thanks so much, Rich. And so my first question for today, Matt, I'll direct towards you. Can you explain the importance of using keywords and how they can improve the chances of a resume getting noticed by recruiting software?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it seems I've been doing this for 15 years. Every year they get more granular in the details and the specifics and keywords that they are looking for. And sometimes jobs encompass maybe 2 jobs that they're trying to convert or confirm with one candidate potentially. So keywords are vital to help you get elevated. Average jobs now are getting over 100 submissions per job. So with that being said, to help you increase maybe in the top 20 or top 40, you really have to make sure those keywords are to that specific job. And it's reverse chronological order, making sure that they see that a lot of those skills are most relevant on your resume. So that's what I feel would be the most important part about keywords.
And I love that, Matt, just to jump in. I think the keywords that's the foundation the ATS is built on. So that's how they're going to determine your ranking and how they're going to rank them for a manager. So it's basically evaluating your resume there. So making sure that you're also including both the acronym and long style of those keywords, and that all of those keywords listed under must-have requirements are not just listed under technologies, for example, but also in the body of the resume where you use them. They're going to highlight multiple times.
Yeah, and as I talked about earlier, from a technology perspective, part of our stack of technologies we, somewhat sophisticated, we use a software called a semantic search engine. And that semantic search engine uses those keywords that Matt and Schnazzy have talked about. And the cool thing with semantic search is that it's smart enough to understand what we call intent of a keyword. So let's just say you're a Java developer and that's the title you have on your resume. Well, if you're searching for Java developer, that semantic search is also going to capture any other terms that are similar to that. So J2EE developer, it's going to show up with that. If you put down Java engineer, that's going to be returned in the result. So again, it's one of our differentiators, our technology stack, what we give our recruiters to do search, to find the best candidates. It's a differentiator for us, and we really, really embrace our technologies.
Awesome. Thanks, team. A couple shout outs. I do see a lot of you joining in the comments. Ahmed from Egypt. Let's see. Errol from Turkey. Lisa and Karen from Florida. Thanks all of you for joining in. So again, if you have any questions, drop those in there. We can answer those for you. My second question for the team, Schnazzy, I'll come to you for this. Are there any specific formatting guidelines or best practices to follow when creating a resume for recruiting software optimization?
Oh, absolutely. Great question, Allie. Keep it simple. So that is going to be key here. Keep in mind, there is a technology that is ingesting your document. So file type's going to matter here. Any images, I know it's you want to get fancy sometimes, especially in marketing, and there are certain use cases there, but trying to keep it in the simplest version as possible, saving it as a Word document or PDF, being careful with formatting, using a common font, and making sure there aren't any tables or columns, because those might cause parsing errors. If the tool can't read your resume, it's not going to be able to pull those key points. Images as well will just show up blank. Another great tip is using very standard resume headers, professional experience, work experience, and making sure that context is in there. Years are in chronological order as well, and your location, at least general location, just so you're getting the best shot possible for local opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Schnazzy. Simple is best. It's one of those things where, as Schnazzy said, marketers, which I'm one, designers, they all love making these great resumes, really good looking resumes, structured and formatted, so forth and so on. And those are great. We're not saying don't use those. Definitely use those, but bring them to the interview. When you're applying online, use the simplest form of a resume that you can get. Schnazzy said Word, PDF, text file works as well, but simpler is definitely better. Keep those really pretty resumes for when you walk in the door and are shaking people's hands.
And I think a little bit, you mentioned, Schnazzy, just about location. You don't have to give specific address or your home address. I think the key would be a lot of companies, if they are based in Tampa, if you say that your zip code is in the general vicinity, if you say Tampa, Florida, and then just give your zip code, that can give some maybe even elevate you in that screening process of, hey, they're close. If we did need to have them come on site for whatever reason, if it's not remote, that could be a huge asset to a candidate to make sure that the client knows where they're located, at least in a general vicinity.
Absolutely, Matt. Oh man, I love this question that Jonathan Beard just asked. What's the limit of pages that we should try to keep our resumes up to? Because I love long resumes. As a recruiter, I love long resumes because then I can help you tailor it each time for each role that you're looking at. So I don't like rules of thumb, but if you're tailoring your resume, anything more than 2 pages, keep in mind, at that point, I don't know how much of it will get read.
Yeah.
I'll let somebody, but yes, I think keeping it brief is important with summaries and then just tailoring it, because I understand that your breadth and scope of experience is much more than going to be fit on a page. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that for each job, you need to have irrelevant or anything that's not going to matter there. So we want just the recent, relevant, your best shot experience to be highlighted.
Yeah, I don't think that we should limit. I'm trying to think, again, placed well over 1,000 people. I don't know if I've ever had a 1-page resume, even for maybe under 2 years of experience potentially, but anyone that's more senior in their experience, to your point, Schnazzy, I like, yes, long for us to review, but typically when we submit it or present it to a client, it's usually 2 to 3 pages.
But that's where we can help out, because give us your long format, and as we identify different opportunities, that's where a recruiter can really help. Additionally, because tailoring your resume every time is hard, but we can help with tailoring it if we have a long format.
And then we have the ATS system. Sometimes they have page limits. So typically, if you even at the end of your second page, third page, whatever that limit is, if you know, additional work history available upon request, just something simple there at the bottom, so that then that person that's reviewing it, whether it's talent acquisition or the hiring manager, will see. And if you get selected, then you can provide that information.
Absolutely. Especially in IT, technology is changing quickly. And I love, that's actually a great question from George Ian as well here. That's playing into that. How that absolutely fantastic. We need to know what we're trying to target first. So how can we know what keywords the software is looking for? On the job and on any job description you see, must have requirements, desired skills, required skills, qualifications. So keywords, if you need an MBA, make sure that there's an MBA on your resume, both in as an acronym and as as the degree itself listed.
Yeah, I think real quick, going back, I know we've got a bunch of questions flying here, but going back to the multiple page resume, it's not that you can't have a 5-page or 6-page resume, but realistically, as a recruiter is going through, as Matt said, hundreds of applicants per job, your 4th and 5th page of your resume aren't going to get looked at, right? You got to put everything up front. You need to get the recruiter to say, this is definitely a qualified candidate. So you better have the meat and potatoes on the first page, maybe second page, so that you get set in the pile that you're a potential. So remember, as a staffing company, recruiters or salespeople, they're looking at resumes, they're finding the qualified candidates, but then we're taking those candidates and giving them to the client. And that's, once it goes to the client, that's where it's good to have 4 and 5 page resumes where it shows your entire career. I saw somebody said 30-year career. You know, if you have a 30-year career, you can't get it in 2 pages. You just can't, right? But again, get the meat and potatoes up front, because that's gonna be what gets the door open for you to continue on in this process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the last 3 to 5 years, Rich, you're right. 30-year career, great, but the last 3, 5, 6 years are most relevant to the at least in IT. That's where we spend our time schnozzing IT.
Get those up front. Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got to be shining bright lights. First page, you get about 30 seconds from a manager, right? He's got to go through 100. You got about 30 seconds. That's usually a page, maybe 2.
And that's where the recruiter's goal is just going to be to facilitate a conversation with the hiring manager. And that's where you can dig into everything you've done.
Yep.
Awesome. This has been a great conversation so far. I'm excited to learn more from all of you. So Rich, I'm going to stick with you a little bit up top. What are some common mistakes that people make when writing a resume for recruiting software, and how can those be avoided?
Yeah, I'm not going to go really into a mistake, but I'm going to talk about, and Matt sort of touched on this earlier, but it's been a trend over time, and it's an observation. It's not really a mistake because it's nothing wrong, but it's an observation that we see. Mm-hmm. You know, 4, 5, 8 years ago, people were putting their entire address on their resume. You know, it was street, it was, city, state, zip code, the whole thing. And then people said, well, I'm just going to put city and state, Tampa, Florida. Lately, we're seeing resumes where there's no address at all. And it's a technique, right? It's a way to do it. It's taking one less thing out of your resume. But as Matt alluded to earlier, is imagine you're a recruiter and you're searching a database for talent, and you're looking for. And I go back to Java developer all the time. Java developers in Tampa, and I run that search. And if your resume doesn't have Tampa, Florida on it, you're not going to rank as high as a Java developer who does have Tampa, Florida on there. So again, it's not wrong to not have your city state on there, but if you know where you want to work, make sure your resume has that city state. It only helps us find you. You're that needle in a haystack, right? Finding that needle in a haystack. So I would put your city state on there.
That's great, Rich. And I think that actually opens up a bigger issue too. Context. Let's add some context here, because I hear so often from candidates, and I believe them, I can do this job. I have all the skills. How does the person on the other end or the software know that? So let's make sure it's overt context. So just what I see a lot of is listing all your technologies and years of experience at the very top, which is great because I know you've done it. But when have you done it? And have you done it recently? And how often have you done it? So adding that to the body as well will add those context clues, and it'll just help those chances.
I don't need to add anything, Allie. I think that was perfect. So I'm gonna wait for the next question.
That works. We do have a question here. So Matt, if you want to answer this question that we have from Nicole, should hyperlinks be present in a resume to LinkedIn, email, a portfolio, etc.?
I can see the heads of the other two parties. 100,000% yes. Put it there. It's just so easy for a manager. Everyone's busy. So wait, you're giving me a streamlined way to see your profile. And I think just something came to my brain now is make sure that that LinkedIn profile matches the resume you've submitted to that customer or that client or that company. If they don't match, guess what? You will be eliminated literally immediately. So make sure those two profiles match. But yes, put those hyperlinks, at least in my opinion, I would put them there.
Our technology is so good that when it sees in a resume your LinkedIn profile, it grabs that URL and it has a special place it puts it. So it's very easy for a recruiter in our database, in our ATS, to click and see your LinkedIn profile. They never even have to leave our database. So it's an absolute essential to have that in there. And I'll go just as far as Matt did and take it one step further. When you're doing your LinkedIn profile, make sure you're doing it as a vanity profile, right? So it's a whole other topic. We've had other discussions, but there's a way to customize your LinkedIn profile URL to where it has your name in it. It's not just a series of numbers and letters. You got to do that. If you're looking for a job, customize your LinkedIn profile URL.
Correct.
Awesome. And we do have this question from a LinkedIn user. Unfortunately, I can't see your name. And it's actually perfect because it ties right into what my next question was. So is it appropriate to set up specific resumes according to a job description? So Matt, I'll come to you. If we can answer this question, if there are any specific strategies or techniques for tailoring a resume to match requirements of a job posting, if it is appropriate to do so.
I think there's a lot of different flavors with the technology that you're using. So usually every job has, hey, I want these 2 or 3 must-haves. Shnazi alluded to that previously. So yes, if you have a resume where you can show that experience used lately in the last 3 to 5 years, 2 to 4 years, whatever, yes, I highly recommend specific resumes, but still have I would say a core generalist resume as well, because some might be more broad. Depending on your relationship with that company or interaction with them. Some clients allow you to submit multiple resumes per the job rather than just one into their repository. So they might be able to gather more than one, which then increases your chances of also being selected.
And I think I would just caution anybody against inflating any skills that they haven't done. Let's be honest on these resumes, because so often there is a proof point. I think when it comes to specific according to job descriptions, just highlight a little bit more. If you're in accounting and finance, and this is a little more on the office or administrative side, and you know you've done it, then just highlight the roles you've done there and maybe take out some things that won't be quite as relevant or useful to that role. And it'll just make it pop up more. So it's easier to find that experience.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with what you all said, but one thing I'll caution people about having a specific resume for a specific job. And that is that once your resume gets in our database, we've got it for years. And if you're tailoring that resume to that specific job, and let's say you're leaving some of your accomplishments out, that's not going to be good for the next time we're searching for a similar opportunity. And we go into our database and your resume may be in there and it's 6 months old. And we need certain things that you had omitted because you tailored your resume to that one specific job. I do think it's important to do that, but don't omit anything. Keep that stuff in there so that next opportunity 6 months down the road, we're going to find your resume in our database.
That's great too. And I think it's just a matter of elaborating sometime. That context, one more, context. So it's Java developer or app developer. That's fantastic. So you developed and designed enterprise applications. Were they web apps? Using what? What technologies did you use? For what audience, for what purpose? So just kind of adding that additional how you did what you did and with what kind of tools.
Perfect.
Yep, great. And Shnazi, I think you kind of touched on this in one of your responses a couple minutes ago, but I'll come to you for this final question that I do have. How can job seekers strike a balance between including relevant information and avoiding excessive keyword stuffing in their resumes?
That's tough. And I think we've gone over a lot of different ways, and outside of spending a ton of time, balance is key. I think just adding context, making sure you're honest. And when I look at a resume, the bullet points, each individual bullet point under your experience. Is that said the most concise, simplest way? Are there any extra words in there that just don't need to be there and aren't adding value? You're a team player. That's wonderful. Absolutely. But how is that different? Is there anything that just is a line on there that doesn't say any? Is there content and context in every line of your resume? I think is the best way. And redundancies as well, being mindful of any redundancies that maybe one sentence said 3 times isn't a way to beat the ATS.
That's right. And Shanazi, I think this is something that I'm not I would say very good at writing or having dialogue. So I know the Chat GPT. If you throw things in there, I know we had it in our pre-call, but Shanazi, I thought you were going to go there because it's like your favorite thing to help people with. But I feel like it's becoming more and more where you put your thoughts in there and it will give you great ways to look like a poet almost. It'll just articulate it so much better of what you're trying to get across. So I'll throw that out there as an enhancement.
And I would really encourage individuals to play with this tool because you can plug in your LinkedIn profile and a job description and ask it, am I a fit for this role? What is missing from the requirements for me to be a match for this role? And I think you'd be shocked with the sort of answers it can give you that will really help you build out your LinkedIn resume.
Yeah, agree. ChatGPT is phenomenal for so many things, but we always talk about with resumes, when you're talking about your accomplishments, we say use action verbs. And ChatGPT is great at taking what you've done and putting them into bullets and using action verbs to describe those accomplishments. It's a great tool. And some of the people who said, hey, my resume is 6 pages. Do you want a shorter resume? Throw it in ChatGPT and say, hey, make my resume 3 pages, and it'll do the work for you.
Yeah, awesome. So just want to give you 3 the floor again, just for any final thoughts, tips, advice to our viewers out there.
Don't be discouraged. I know it's tough. I talk to so many qualified, talented individuals every single day. And I think just tenacity and understanding and seeking to understand and asking questions, getting feedback, you're going to land that great job. There's something to be said about the right door opening at the right time. And you have tons of resources and recruiters at System 1. If you have questions and you just don't know, reach out and ask. We're always happy to help.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was just going to say, my partner experts here today, Matt and Shanazi, are phenomenal examples of the depth and the breadth that we have on the entire System 1 team and our subsidiary company. So, if you're a job seeker and you're out there and you're looking, as Shanazi said, reach out to us, apply to our jobs, connect with our recruiters. We're here. We work for the clients. We work for the job seekers. We're here to make that match. And so just reach out to us and connect with us.
Yeah. And I think one part of the frustration, Shanazi, to your point, is only relying on ATS only. I think the most important part where we are just, we're a top 30 staffing company in America. You should, or hopefully if you haven't, create relationships with recruiters. You're 50 times more likely to get an interview leveraging a recruiter compared to submitting to an ATS. It's incredible. So that myself and Shanazi, we literally are talking to the clients on a daily, weekly basis. We're talking to them and selling resumes and candidates that fit those roles directly to these hiring managers, even skipping in a lot of cases HR. We're going right to the people making those decisions. And just that, I feel like that can alleviate a lot of the frustration of if you're only leveraging ATSs, you're going to be frustrated because there's just so much out there. But having a staffing company be your agent and going out to the market, letting people know about you and your skills and your talents, I just feel like that's so valuable in today's day and age.
Absolutely. We're all working towards the same goal. All of us, the companies we're working with, the clients, the individuals and candidates. And I think just partnership will make us get there faster.
Exactly.
Great. Well, thank you so much to all of you for being on Sound Off with System 1 today. I love having you on my panel of experts. So can't wait to have you all back soon, hopefully. But that is it for us today here at Sound Off with System 1. Thank you so much for tuning in to another broadcast. We love joining you every other Friday right now at 2 p.m. to talk to you about a number of different topics. Be sure to connect with all of the experts here on LinkedIn and follow System 1 on LinkedIn as well. We do still have a contest giveaway going on until July 31st. So that is coming up very quickly. As long as you click that follow button on System 1's LinkedIn page, you will be entered for a chance to win a Yeti Tundra 45 hard cooler. So make sure you do that before time runs out. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have all of our previous Sound Off with System 1 broadcasts on there. Tons of great resume and interview tips, leadership insights, success stories, and more. So be sure to check that out. And again, join us every other Friday where we'll be discussing a number of different job seeker topics. Our next one will be on Friday, July 28th at 2 p.m. And we'll be discussing how to answer the interview question, what is your biggest weakness? Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.